Welcome back, dear viewers, and to shed more light on the developments of Egypt's economic process and the latest developments in the economic reform program, we're glad to be joined over the phone by Dr. Ahmed Sabry Abu Zaid, Professor of Economics, Illinois University, USA, and the American University in Cairo, and also the Suez Canal University. Good afternoon, sir.
Well, thank you for hosting me.
Thank you for joining us, sir. Well, Dr. Abu Zaid, President El-Sisi signed a law to increase the state budget in the 2021-2022 by 6 billion Egyptian pounds. How do you expect the repercussions of this decision?
Okay, first, thank you very much for hosting me. It's a pleasure. Actually, to look at the present decision, it's all about signals and incentives, which are actually some economic concepts that people sometimes ignore.
Yeah.
Directly, we would say that this amount is going to be going for most probably the national projects. But most importantly, that is that the signaling that the present decisions is giving to the private sector. Mm-hmm. That the government is spending so much money, most probably on the infrastructures, which hopefully can cause crowding in of private sector and private spending, which can get the wheel rolling in the future relating to the economic prospect.
Yeah.
So actually, this is exactly what Egypt needs right now at this moment, some extra government spending regardless of the budget deficit. Budget deficit is not always a bad thing.
Yeah.
But regardless of our deficit, I would highly recommend that the government would go with the president's decision and again increase this for better signaling to the private sector in Egypt.
Yeah. Sir, how important is the President's instructions to expedite the operational steps to apply digital transformation and financial inclusion in Egypt's economic process?
Well, the digital transformation and the financial inclusion, although they are, some people don't think them as national projects, but these two projects are the most important national projects currently. Not only because they are important, but actually we were behind other countries in the world, especially in the area. So actually, this is really important for several points. First, digitalization is not only important for productivity, efficiency, raising level of production in Egypt, but also it lowers many illegal activities. It can raise government revenues, which can help in the future projects.
Yeah.
Money laundering actually is one of the major things that Egypt can actually avoid through digitalization. Digitalization sometimes misunderstood, that people think that digitalization, that we're going to get rid of paperwork and everything would be on computers. That's just part of it. That's the small part. The bigger part, or the most important part, that the country or the government would have a record of every single individual and business firm in the country, so it can raise the revenue. People cannot evade taxes. People have to pay their taxes. Big companies that make millions of pounds and they cannot run away from these taxes. So both of these projects are complementary to each other in order to raise the government revenues in the future that will enable the country to move forward on its structural program.
Yes, sir, on Saturday, President Sisi inaugurated Egypt's future project of agricultural production at El Dama Road, El Farag Road. How would this project maximize production opportunities and provide high-quality agricultural products, in your opinion?
Well, I'm not going to talk about the number or the area that's going to be arable because, again, our viewers or watchers, they maybe don't know how much do we have or how much do we need. But the whole idea is the idea of that Egypt is suffering from food shortage, especially from wheat and others. So this part would not only ensure that we would be able to recover or to close our gap from the food shortage, but most importantly, the food security issue. I mean, since President Nasser's time, we're thinking about food security, okay? And currently, as we see from the Russian-Ukrainian war, we're suffering because these two countries are in war, and our imports of wheat from them has declined significantly. So food security comes should come top of the list of the government, and I guess the president is addressing that in his current, in his last day speech, that this is pretty important to have for the sake of food security.
Yes. How do you view the state's efforts in supporting the economy through the ongoing national projects across the country?
The government has done so well in the last 5 years for these national projects, I guess. Some of them are actually, there's no scope, very much scope on it, or just back and forth. But I would like to start talking about some of them, especially the slums. Many of these slums has been removed, especially Masquerade Triangle. A lot of people has been moved to El Asmarat subdivisions or many other subdivisions around the country.
Yeah.
Okay? So the president starting from, or the government in general, and this president in particular, is starting from building the human being. We need building the human being, building the person, along with building the country. Okay? So they walk hand in hand. So these are some of the national projects that are important. Also, decent life that started in Egyptian villages, very important, plus the new cities. If you give me a chance, I would like to talk briefly, especially about the new capital. Because I heard some of the people, again, we respect all of the opinions, but here some of the people believe that this capital is not a priority right now. However, I believe that our old capital, which is the current capital, Cairo, is too old to host the digital transformation of the coming 2 or 3 decades.
Yeah.
We need a new, fresh capital with a better technological infrastructure in order to host this digital transformation. And I believe that the new capital would be able to do that. So all of these national projects that has been going right now on agriculture sector, manufacturing sector, as well as new cities, it's a must for moving forward.
Yeah. Well, Egypt expects the Suez Canal's revenues to reach about $7 billion by the end of the current year. How do you assess the significance of this?
Well, Suez Canal currently, I believe, it has around $5.6, $5.7 billion.
Yeah.
But to be just cautious, Suez Canal revenues is not only in the hand of Egypt, unfortunately. This sector is very sensitive to the political events around us.
Yeah.
And currently with the international trade having some hit during the COVID and right after that, the Russian-Ukrainian war, we suffered a bit from both of these events. However, again, the prospects of the future, because COVID hopefully is by its end, countries have relieved many of the restrictions right now, especially in Europe. So I would expect a huge recovery in the international trade sector, and hopefully we're going back. And I guess currently our Suez Canal, especially with the new one, so we're having kind of 2 routes right now, will be very ready to welcome all of the ships going through it. So again, $7 billion would be somehow a good figure, okay? A bit optimistic, but not much, but I hope that we can reach this by the end of the coming year.
Yeah, so what are the means of facing prices hike and controlling markets from the state and the citizens as well?
Inflation is an international phenomenon, okay? It is not only in Egypt, that only happening in Egypt. Some of them, sometimes inflation happens because of the demand side, okay, which we call it demand pull inflation. However, the current inflation is mostly because of the cost push and increase in the cost of production, mainly energy costs due to the Russian-Ukrainian war. So how to deal with this? How the state deal with this? Actually, the central bank has raised interest rate twice in the last 2 months, I guess. The last one was, I guess, 3 or 4 days ago by 200 basis points, around 2%, okay? To slow down the inflation, hopefully this would work. But again, the central bank is not working alone. He works in international arena where you have other central banks might do some action that cause trouble to us, like the Federal Reserve Bank in the United States, where he raised his interest rate by 50 basis points. However, the government role is good. Government should, again, curb inflation through higher interest rates, but they should also send signals, which is very important to consumers. Consumers have what they call self-fulfilling prophecy. If we consumers, citizens, believe that inflation would occur, it would occur because we would raise our demand. So the government somehow should pacify the citizens that we're on the road. And I guess what the central bank has done is one of the good signals. The government should do as well. Like the government, like the central bank, the government should intervene as well in the market and send good signals to the people that this is our priority. So do not, the citizens, do not afraid of inflation. Do not raise your demand currently because you're afraid for tomorrow. Hopefully there would be control on inflation.
Yeah, well, how do you evaluate the role of the private sector in Egypt's economic process?
Economic theory always indicates the private sector is the engine of growth, okay? Anywhere in the world. If you look at the United States and Europe, again, private sector is leading the growth process. What I'm going to say right now might, some people might disagree with me, but Egypt's case or developing countries' case might be a bit different from developed ones, from the US and Europe, okay? So the government should have some role in the development process along with the private sector. Private sector, yes, should lead, but the government should provide infrastructure, so on and so forth. And sometimes, in certain cases, okay, in certain cases, the government should actually produce itself. For example, agriculture, when it comes to some kind of food security, okay, some strategic product, the government has to be there, at least in the short run. Still, the government ensures that everything is on the right track, and then it pulls out. So, yes, the private sector should not be afraid of the government intervention right now. Okay, I heard in several shows that the private sector and some businessmen, there is a lot of government investment in certain sectors, which crowds out private investment. These sectors, I believe that the government will not stay long over there. The government is paving the road for the private sector, and hopefully the private sector will take advantage of that and takes its part in leading the economic growth of the country in the future.
Yes. Sir, what are your expectations for Egypt's tourism sector during the year 2022 and the coming years also?
You're talking about the tourism sector specifically,
yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yes. Again, tourism is not far from Suez Canal. It's one of the sensitive sector, kind of fragile sector that depends on political events. Okay? So during the COVID, the tourism in Egypt and all over the world, okay, has received a huge hit that caused the revenues to decline significantly.
Yeah.
However, again, with the COVID by its end, hopefully, and hopefully the Russian-Ukrainian wars, because we received a lot of tourists from these two countries specifically, I believe that this sector would recover. The government and our Ministry of Tourism, I believe, has a role in promoting Egypt in other markets, not our traditional markets. I mean, Russia, Germany, Italy has been our traditional markets in tourism. So we need to target some other non-traditional markets and bring them back to Egypt. Again, the Arabic tourism from Arab countries, Gulf area, has been declining, I believe, in the last years, and we need to recover our tourists from these countries as well and provide them whatever they need to come back over again to Egypt. And I believe that Egypt's atmosphere, culture is an attractive destination for them. So,
yes.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. Well, sir, how do you see the significance of SMEs or small and medium enterprises and their effect on the and supporting the government's economy and at the same time creating job opportunities to the youth?
Okay. Looking to other countries' experience with small, medium enterprises has been a bigger role in Southeast Asia and some parts of Latin America. Okay, these have a huge role. However, these small and medium enterprises, they would require some assistance from, especially from the finance sector. We need to finance them. The central bank has a very good move that he did it the last 2 years, where he put the bank that I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe that 25% of their portfolio has to be for the small and medium enterprises.
Yeah.
So the central bank is doing a great job there. Again, it's well known. I don't want to keep saying what has been said earlier. This sector is one of the most important sectors in creating employment and moving forward. So again, the part is how to encourage this. Central bank has done its part significantly. I believe the government, now it's the part of the citizens. We need to promote the idea, because there is a lot of people out there, you don't have an idea that if you walk into the bank with a good project and you have part of it and you have a decent feasibility study, you would be able to take a loan. It's just the role of the government as well as the media to promote their part and to let the people out there know that, okay, we do have some funds available for you, and everybody knows that, again, that this is a very significant and important sector that drives the economy forward.
Well, I would like to thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed Sabry Abu Zaid, the Professor of Economics, Illinois University, and also the American University in Cairo. Many thanks for your insight. Dear viewers, now we go to a short break and we'll be right back.